Most professionals will earn millions in their lifetimes and keep less than 2%. So let's begin with something that's true whether you're 20 or you're 70 years old. Wealth is not an accident. It's a product of patterns and habits. It's the law. And wealth isn't built in one day, it's built daily with consistent, persistent habit. Without learning and applying these rules, wealth cannot be yours. It's never too soon and it's never too late to begin. So, how many of you feel like you're working hard but getting nowhere fast financially? And how many of you ever wondered, what do the wealthy do differently? If that's you, welcome. I want to commend you for showing up today because the fact that you're here tells me one thing. You're ready to stop guessing and start growing. By the end of the session, you're going to walk away with 7 rules that quietly drive lasting wealth, regardless of your income. A new lens on how money actually moves and multiplies, a secret sauce that the wealthy use to keep their dollars compounding, even when they're spending them. And most importantly, how you can start doing the same thing. Today with a concept called the infinite banking concept. And I didn't grow up with money. I didn't inherit a dime. I've not inherited a dime. And what I inherited was stress, survival mode, and a whole lot of financial confusion. Who can relate to that? But I stumbled onto this set of rules when I was ready. They were simple, powerful, timeless. And when I committed to living by them, my entire financial life changed. The last piece of the puzzle, infinite banking, is when everything clicked. It was like when back in the day, when I'd put my head up against the safe and I'd turn the knob, click. When it clicked, it was never about breaking into the safe. It was about what laid on the other side of the door. How many of you can relate to that? Me neither. That'd be crazy. I've never broken into a safe, but that is what infinite banking did for me. It gave me permission to keep learning about money. So today we're going to go through these 7 financial rules that have transformed my financial life and the life of thousands of people I've worked with. How infinite banking is the foundation and the multiplier. We're going to go rule by rule, showing you not just the principle, but how this works in real life and how infinite banking fits into each step. And by the end, you'll know how to build wealth consistently with a system that gives you control, liquidity, and peace of mind. So let's dive in. The myth of wealth. The myth of wealth is that you just have to make more money. And this is never about chasing more. This is about the habits and the systems and the processes that you build and that you automate and that you practice persistently, consistently. It's very much like the millionaire next door. It's not flashy. It's not keeping up with the neighbors, the Jones. It's about how these rules, these principles I'm going to talk about, they're timeless. They are universal truths. And it doesn't matter what country you live in, where you live. If you hear this and you apply this, your life will change for the better. And by the way, if you've heard this before and you've applied this before and you are making progress and maybe you slip back, that's okay too. We've been there. Patty, myself, our family, we've been there. We've applied them. We've slipped a little bit and we've noticed, hey, we're slipping here. We're earning more. We're spending more. Some of the rules we're going to go over. You might say, I know this, but are you applying them? Because nothing changes without that action. Nothing will ever change with just knowledge alone. Knowledge alone isn't action. Wealth isn't luck. It's not an inheritance. It's this consistent application of these timeless principles. They're battle-tested, true, and have been around for decades, for generations. And when you practice these 7 steps, I call them laws, then wealth will no longer elude you. Does that sound like a good plan for all of you? So you're all doing the hardest thing. You're going to work, trading your time, your most valuable asset, for money. And then immediately, somehow, You start distributing the money that you've earned to everybody else. Here, you have some. Here's some for you. Here's some for you. Here's some for you. And when you go into your pockets and you pull them out, your hands are empty. These are the conversations I've had, thousands of conversations, whether someone's making 100,000 a year, 200,000, a million, 50,000, 40,000, 25,000. When you're last in line for your money, guess what's going to happen? It shows that you do not value or love yourself enough. I saw some dump truck wisdom today. That's right. It says, I love myself. God is first on the back of a dump truck. And I was like, that is perfect timing. That's perfect timing. How many of you like some dump truck wisdom? I mean, it's not bumper sticker stuff, but it is just as good. And I was thinking that person's pretty cool. They've got their system right there on the back. I love myself. So paying yourself first, paying yourself, as the wealthy have taught us in The Richest Man of Babylon, the first rule of wealth creation is pay yourself 10%. Pay yourself 10%. Automate it. Make it automatic. Because if you're not going to own your cash flow, someone else is going to. If you're not going to create a system that pays you first, you're creating a system that pays everyone else. And an example of this, if you're earning 1,000 a week, save 100. If you're earning 10,000 a week, save 1,000. This habit becomes that seed, right? You're always out there planting seeds, and you're going to reap what you sow. And so when you're planting those seeds and you're dropping a little seed here and a little seed there and a little seed there, over time, they're going to add up to be a great big harvest. This is where you're watering the seeds, and it's giving you control. It's giving you that liquidity. It's giving you the peace of mind. And it all starts with paying yourself first. So today, when we're done with this, ask yourself, or just ask yourself and pop in the chat, are you paying yourself first? Every dollar that comes in, are you paying yourself at least 10%? And if you have to start with 5% and work up to 10 and then go to 11, 12, 13, and then what are you doing with that money? So if you can't save when you're earning a little, things aren't going to change when you earn a lot. So this is non-negotiable. Actually, if you don't go past this rule, and this is the most important rule, maybe make a note of to yourself today, which of these rules is the rule that you're going to work on first? You might say, hey, I need to do all 7 of them, Jason, but where are you going to start? Just start becoming conscious of that decision in this moment, because life changes in a moment. Let's look at rule number 2, live below your means. And the majority of the folks that I'm talking to, not you guys, right? When we're earning this much money and we're spending this much money, we can never think we're going to be wealthy. Or if we're earning this much and we're spending this much, the same thing. And this is lifestyle creep. This is known as keeping up with the Jones. And this is where, when you have one event, one change, the inevitable happens, right? This is where you're ahead and you're like, oh, I'm doing so good. I'm getting ahead. I'm saving. I'm paying myself. And then boom, the event happens. You weren't prepared. And now you have no margin. Now your savings is eaten up and you're back to zero and you're back in the rat race and you're back to that feeling of struggle. And it starts affecting your self-worth. You start feeling like that you don't understand this, that you can't possibly be wealthy because you can barely survive. And you start playing smaller. You start doing what Daddy Dave tells you to do, and you start eating beans and rice and budgeting, and it's miserable. It's miserable. This isn't about what we earn. It's about what we can keep. And when you're saying yes to the excess today, when you're making that decision, I do this still, driving home, like, you know what? I could use X. I could use this or that, and I don't need it. I have what I need at home, but I just want something different. I want variety, one of my human needs. And so you stop, you buy something that's not aligned with your bigger goal, and it's not even healthy for you. And that's where this lifestyle creep sneaks up on us. So in Nelson's book, in Becoming Your Own Banker, he talks about this being Parkinson's law. This is the law. Like, if you can't beat Parkinson's law, now this is harsh, but it really paints the picture. If you can't beat Parkinson's law, if you can't save not spend everything you earn. If you can't save, if you can't create a margin. And the example of this, before I go into Parkinson's law, an example of this would be if you're making 1,000 and you're saving 10%, that's 100. I'm actually going to go into this on the next slide here. When you're earning 4,000, you save 10%, it's 400 bucks. Now the margin, and I really like this, the margin is if now you have 3,600 left over for your debts, for your expenses, for your lifestyle, for the things that you want to do. Now take 400 off the top of that and put that aside. That's your margin. That means you're saving 10%. You've got a buffer, if you will. So now you got 20% off the top of what you're earning. Now, when something happens, you don't eat into your savings. You don't eat into the money that's going to be used to multiply later. And what's this give you? This is going to give you back that control. It's going to put you in the driver's seat where you're being proactive with everything. Now you're being proactive for how the system's set up. And it gives you the opportunity to start challenging every expense, to start looking at things and saying, do I really need that? I know I want it. I know I want that little hit, that little change in my state at the moment, but do I really need it? Is it really helping me financially, with my vision, where I'm going, with my health? And when you're doing this, it's not about the restriction. It's not about playing small. It's about the intention of knowing where you're going. What is that big vision? You are the captain. You know that while you're going, you have to make those little micro corrections to make sure you get to your destiny. And so this is a constant weighing in and understanding that, yes, I've got paying myself first, I'm creating a margin, and now let's look at the spending and really get familiar to where it is and what we're doing. And this is how you become the leader and the follower. This is when people start coming to you and say, hey, how did you do this? Jordy, Drew, Shane, how did you guys do this? How did you start creating this system? Like, I haven't seen you, you don't really act a lot different, but I see that the system that you're building, how did you do it? And it's by following these rules, these laws. And the third one is the one that Einstein talks about and is accredited as saying, and I don't know if he really said it, but the power of compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world. And he who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And this is where it gets really fun because now you know how to save. Now you've created margin. And now what are we going to do with that margin? Where can we put our money where the time value of money grows over time? And it's not linear growth. Compound growth is exponential. It's going to start off slow. It's like the roller coaster. You're starting to go and you go, oh, here we go. And all of a sudden, right to the top and boom, right? You go faster the longer you've been doing it. And the wealth builds exponentially. And that's exciting when you start seeing what it looks like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, because you started harnessing that power. And most systems aren't set up for compounding. We talk about this a lot. There's only one that I know of where it can be uninterrupted compound interest for your whole life. And this is where specially engineered whole life comes in. And this is where you can start now, start early, start steady, and it protects the curve for growth. And this, again, whether you're 20 or 70, it still works. You just have more time ahead of you if you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s. But there's still time if you're in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, because your policy is going to grow uninterrupted with every deposit you make forever. And again, compound interest is going to reward, it's going to reward you investing consistently, persistently over time. It's a saying that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that time added to compound interest or paired with compound interest is the greatest force multiplier that you can have in money. This is what the wealthy are doing. This is the big difference. The wealthy, we've talked about it since 1910, have been saving an average of 38%. That is wild. 38%. If you made 100 grand, you're saving 38,000 a year. You're controlling it and you're putting it somewhere where it keeps growing. Think of the peace of mind that that creates. And number 4 This is probably my favorite one. I almost want it to be number one, but it's your ability to earn is your greatest asset. You are your greatest investment. You know, the real estate between our ears, the standing at the doorway of our mind every day and understanding that every single decision that we make, everything that we read, everything we listen to, everything that we do, everything we put in our body is either adding value to us or it's detracting. And all those small choices over time, they compound. And we have to stay relevant. We have to keep sharpening the sword. I see so many people worried about technology and what's happening and what's going on right now. And now's the time to be excited. Now's the time to give ourselves more skills to understand how we can buy back our time by using technology, how we can understand that we have to continually grow. And I was listening to Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time, and he's talking about Oprah, how she built her empire doing what she loves. And now, as a billionaire, her day is mostly taking care of herself, reading, exercising, staying current, building her skills. And she spends a couple hours a day on business, money related things. Why? Because Oprah is her biggest asset, her ability to stay relevant, to stay earning. Because a lot of times, how many of you can relate to this? I did this at one point as a recruiter where I had an amazing year. The next year, I doubled it. It was incredible. And then for 5 years, I did the same thing over and over and over and over again. I didn't grow anymore. I just put it on autopilot and kept that system because I was still so far ahead and it made me complacent. And at some point, the market, the thing started shifting and everything shifted. It sent me on a different journey, but I was not prepared for that next journey. So you don't want to take your foot off the accelerator. We do want to enjoy life. We want to be present and we want to keep protecting our earning power by investing in our skills, protecting our health, guarding our focus, guarding what we're doing. The more value that you're creating, the bigger the problem that you solve, the more premiums you can deposit into your system, right? The more money is going to be coming towards you. And number five, right? Number five is we finance everything we buy. We're either paying interest or we're earning it or giving up the opportunity to earn it. And here's the truth. You guys have heard me say this before. There's only two pains in life. Pop it in the chat if you remember the two pains. It's either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And you choose which pain. Frank knows it. And you choose what pain because that decision, that discipline, that daily discipline doesn't maybe feel like fun. You guys know when you get up early to exercise and you go out, I tell Connor and my boys this, hey, that first 5 minutes, that first 10 minutes, it's gonna suck. But at the end, what happens? Everything comes in with endorphins, your body and your mind, and everything's aligned and you feel amazing. And now you've built a foundation for a successful day. It's like getting up in the morning, like the one general said in his commencement speech, and making your bed first. I make my bed everywhere. I go to a hotel room, I make my bed. I wake up in the morning, I feel awful, I make my bed. I wake up in the morning, I feel great, I make my bed. Just those little tiny things, but with avoiding debt, it means that you are not putting other people in front of you. You're not letting your want of something, your desire to have something, you're having the patience to not go take on bad debt. Because when you start taking on bad debt, and I've seen this over and over again, you take on credit cards, you take on loans, you take on HELOCs, consumer purchases, and you think you're scaling and you're making choices for the business and you're growing and you're doing these things, and you're investing in yourself and you're doing all these things, you get to the point where all of a sudden you owe so much interest to everybody else, you're no longer working for yourself. Even if you're an entrepreneur, now you're working for everybody else. Now you're working for whoever you owe the money to. And that's how the system is built. The system is built to control us. So these are the invisible chains, the things that we don't see, but we can feel them. And they're weighing us down. And it doesn't feel like control. It doesn't feel like you have a light at the end of that tunnel when you're in this place. And I'm not talking about strategic debt. I'm not talking about debt where, if your debt is anything that you bought that doesn't produce you income. Most people think their home, right, is an asset, but your home's a liability because you pay every month on your home. But we're not talking about strategic debt. We're not talking about going out and, finding a way to take on debt when you can earn more money than the debt. That's good debt. You got to know the difference between the two. And so again, when you're taking on bad debt, rule 5, you don't want to slowly inch by inch make those little decisions that start giving up your power to others. If you believe like I do, the wealthy have more options. When you start giving up that power, you're decreasing your options. You're decreasing that peace of mind. And when you avoid bad debts, when you start building your system, your opportunity fund, so you can fund the things you're going to buy anyhow. I'm not saying don't get the stuff. I'm saying do it through your system. Do it through a system that you control. We've got a couple rules to go, but so far we're through 5 rules. And if you're new here, you know what to do. You're going to smash the like button. You're going to ring the bell so it turns orange and alerts you to new content. And you're going to subscribe so you can be alerted and you can start helping spread this message. So through these 5 lessons so far, I want you to say, I'm a builder. I have the discipline, the patience, and now I have the knowledge to apply what I've learned, because I'm going to go into the next 2 rules. But if you don't do these 5 first, then there's no reason to move on to the next 2. But let's go to the next one. This is one right now that's super, super relevant to where we are personally, is getting really clear on every dollar. Because if you don't see it, how can you fix it? You need that system in place for your business side of things, for your personal side of things. You want to automate it. You want to review it often. And I'm talking at first, maybe it's daily. And then it becomes a weekly meeting, a quarterly meeting. And you start looking where the money's being spent and what is producing. Like, is the use of the money you're putting out there, whether you're personally developing, you're putting money in the business, you're investing in something, it's really looking at, on a granular level, how much are we spending? Did we need that thing? Is it aligned with our future? And again, it sounds like I'm teaching you to budget, but I'm not. I'm teaching you how to get aligned, congruent with where you're going. What is that big vision? That's the ultimate thing. And these numbers aren't judgments to you, they're feedback to you. Again, a good captain's checking his navigation. He's making course corrections as the journey goes. And to have wealth, you want to do the same thing. And this awareness is going to lead to mastery. And if you don't know where your money's going, you're not in control. So that tracking isn't restrictive, it's liberating. It feels amazing. And this was something that we talked about right before this. We were actually putting this together and talking about, okay, how are we going to start looking at the money on a daily basis and really taking a little bit of time every day to act like the CEO of your family economy. You're going to look at your P&L every day on your business side, on your personal side, and every day you're looking at things as a P&L. You track what you value, and nothing creates more long-term value than your system. You got to know your numbers, Shane. Be intentional, not accidental. Tracking isn't about being cheap. It's about being conscious, being intentional, and little things add up over time. Little things that don't matter to you add up over time. And number 7, another big topic of our discussion, is that you can't pour from an empty cup. We hear about tithing. We hear about how tithing, the money always comes back to you. And we love the tithe. We have some things we really care about. We give consistently to it. But at the end of the day, I think, well, we've made more. We should be giving more. But at first, you have to build your foundation first, and then you can extend your reach. Because if you're giving out of lack, I talked to someone yesterday who wasn't saving more than a few $100s, tithe every month, which is amazing. I could feel their heart. And I don't know if that's generous. I think it's financial sabotage. So you're not giving. You don't want to give from a place of hoping it's going to work out next month. You haven't paid yourself. You haven't created a margin. You don't know where your dollars are going. You give when you have everything else built and you have a solid foundation, your money's compounding, and now your giving is not a weakness, right? It's not instability. You're giving from abundance. And all of a sudden, when you have that structure, when you have the clarity, your identity begins to shift. You're building for impact. Now you get to maybe the final stage of contribution on our journey as humans. And some of us get there at different times, but now you can start contributing, giving more, making more impact. And that is going to become a force multiplier because now people are going to want to be part of that. It's going to have a big ripple effect when you say, hey, we're going to build this, give to this, and I'll match this. And I see it all the time. I see it with folks who have created wealth. It becomes overflow. It becomes more abundant, more love. And it's not an accident. It's not an accident. It's not about the earnings that we're talking about with these 7 rules. It's about who you become and what is your growth look like. It's who you become and what is your growth? What does your personal journey look like on a day-to-day basis? And so again, you don't need more tactics or distractions. You need more truth, more discipline, and a system. And sometimes the system's going to seem boring. Some of the days of summer, when I see my boys having fun and different things happening, I think, man, I want more of that, more variety, more fun. But what is the next thing, the discipline, the system, the process that you've built? The process you control, the habits that support your vision, your family's vision. It takes discipline to support a vision that's bigger than you while keeping your money in motion, because money not in motion does not make you money. Start with your personal banking system. We've covered the 7 wealth building rules. Pay yourself first, live with margin, protect your power to earn, track every dollar, get granular. You learn why debt's a trap and how you have to give from strength because that multiplies your impact. And at the center of it all is a financial engine called the infinite banking concept. Nothing more than specially engineered whole life. Again, I didn't arrive here by luck or inheritance. I got here by following these rules. And I've shared a couple times, I still make the mistakes, but we get back up. I have another conversation with my amazing wife, and we figure it out what went wrong, and we start again. We did it before this call. We said, okay, every day we're going to log in. I already log in and look at what's coming in. Now we're going to start being intentional of where every single cent is going, what is going out, those Amazon boxes arriving. We're going to shift and readjust, recourse correct. And I realized this because of a system and these laws. This is how you compound your money while using it. And that's what changes the game. So remember, you're here to reclaim control of your finances. You now have the rules, you have the engine and wealth that compounds, cash that flows, and a strategy that's yours to control. So here's the next step. Book a call. If you haven't started your system yet, let's talk about building your personal system. If you build a system and you're ready to add on because it's going so well, book a call for that as well. You don't need to chase the next hot stock, next hot tip, the next crypto thing. You need structure. You need a strategy. You need to understand your own system. So let's build it together. Let's have some fun while we're doing it. And as always, thanks for your attention. Thanks for being here and giving me your most valuable asset, your attention, your time, your focus. And as long as you're not driving, high five yourself, pat yourself on the back. If you're driving, don't do that. I don't need you crashing off the road. And if you're, again, new here, smash the like button, ring the bell, and subscribe to the channel. Spread this message. Invite more people to come. We're in the summer. Let's see if we can double our numbers and have more than 40 people on in the next couple weeks. Next week, there's a special treat that you'll be super stoked about, coming in, talking about small money movements, talking about financial friends, talking about how you keep your money in motion using this as a structure. So I'll see all of you in the next video. But until next time, be blessed. Thanks for being here, and let's have fun.